Good morning, Year 8. If you could please send me a message on Show My Homework then to show that you're accessing this lesson. Thanks once again for engaging with these. And then today's lesson, again, is going to be assessed via a My Maths activity. If you need any help, as usual, then please get in touch with me at red@theroyal.school and save then Show My Homework just for the submissions of work. That'd be fantastic. Again, today you're going to be needing a calculator because we're going to be continuing with our circle work. So a starter today is going to be a recap of our previous lesson on circumference of a circle. Remember that the circumference of a circle is pi times the diameter. You're going to need to remember what the diameter or radius of a circle is, so look back at your notes if necessary. So I've got 8 questions here for you to be working out the circumference of these circles. Make sure you're giving your answers to 1 decimal place. This goes back to one of our first online lessons on rounding. So make sure you round those answers correctly here. If you want to pause the video then until you're ready for the answers, and I'll run through those answers now. So the first question, we do have the diameter. Remember, the diameter is that line that goes straight through the centre of the circle from one edge to the other. So pi times diameter, pi times 2, and then round that answer we're going to get 6.3, and don't forget the units centimetres here. For question B, then we only have a radius given to us first off, which is 2.5. So we've got to imagine the whole diameter. So the whole diameter is going to be 5. So we need to do pi times 5, which is going to give us 15.7 meters, and so on for the rest of the questions. So C, we have a diameter, that's fine. We can do pi times 16. D, we have a diameter, that's fine. We can do pi times 7.26. But part E, we have a radius again, so we need to work out what the diameter is by doubling it. So our diameter here is going to be 0.8, so pi times 0.8, and so on. If you need any help with these questions, then please get in touch with me at red@theroyal.school. So we're going to move on today and have a look at area. So today we're going to be looking at the area of a circle. The area of a circle has another formula which is slightly different to the circumference one, and it's very easy to get them confused, so it'd be really important for you to write this down. So the area of a circle is given by pi times the radius times the radius. Remember from our previous lesson, pi, that symbol there, is just a number. It's 3.14 and carries on forever. So we sometimes round it to 3.14. You might be told in a question to use a particular degree of rounding to it, or you can just use that pi symbol if you're using your calculator with it. So this one is pi times the radius and times by the radius again, which could be written as then pi r squared. Remember, our algebra terms linked next to each other mean that we're multiplying them, and then we've got that squared instead of r times r. We know numbers times by themselves and letters times by themselves become letters squared. It's really important when you're doing these questions to remember BIDMAS. So in BIDMAS, we've got some multiplications in here, but if we're using the second formula, this one, we've also got indices, so they would have to come first. So if you're doing this using the pi r squared formula, which is the more common one you will see, you must square the radius first and then times by pi. That would be the order that you do these questions. So let's have a look at this in practice. So we've got a green circle here, and we're being asked to use pi as 3.14. That's important because we're not going to be using the pi button on our calculator. That'll be more accurate though, to find the area of this circle. So we've got a reminder of the formula here. Area equals pi times the radius squared. So let's have a look at our circle. We've got a line from the circumference to the centre. So yes, that is a radius. So this is really handy. So we want to do pi times the radius squared. So pi times 4 squared. So 3.14, our version of pi for this question, times by 4 and times by 4 again. You could use the squared button on your calculator as well after the 4, and that would give us the same answer. So that gives us 50.24 as our answer, and then we need to make sure we have the correct units as well. Our radius was measured in centimetres, so our area needs to be measured in centimetres squared. Remember to put the squared after the centimetre. I sometimes see a few people putting the squared after the number and then writing centimetres, which wouldn't be the right way around. It's going to be centimetres then squared. So let's have another look at an example then. So shown is a circle with a radius of 5 centimeters. That's handy. We're told the radius. We know we need that in our formula. A visual version of it on the right. Work out the area of the circle. State the units for your answer. Give the answer to 2 decimal places. So here we're not being told to use a certain version of pi, so we'd use the pi button on our calculator, and then we will round our answer at the end. So area of a circle is pi times the radius squared, and our radius is 5. So we want pi times 5 squared. We then have the fact that 5 squared is 25. Remember, it's not 10. We don't see the 2 and do 5 times 2 is 10. 5 squared, 5 times 5 is 25. So we can do pi times 25. And you should get 73.5398, and carries on, of course, any calculator display. I haven't written every number because I know I only need to round this to 2 decimal places. So let's then go through our rounding. Let's cut our number off after its second decimal place. And then after that line I've drawn is a 9, so we need to round our number up. So we're going to have 73 kept, and it's going to be 0.54 once we've rounded our number up at the end. So 73.54, and then put our units in. If our radius was measured in centimetres, then of course our area is centimetres squared. So I now have 4 examples, so you might want to try these out yourselves and then unpause the video to get the answers, or if you need a little bit more help with these, then follow through the questions until you're feeling confident. So find out the area of these circles. So it says again use pi as 3.14, so we can use that in place of the button on our calculator, and then we're going to be doing pi times the radius squared for each of these. In this yellow circle I do have a radius of 2, so I now need pi times 2 squared. Pop that in on your calculator and you will get 12.56, and of course make sure we have the units centimetres squared because we're looking at an area. So the purple circle here then, we have a measurement of 10 metres. Now this I'll let you to have a look at again, unpause when you're ready for me to go through the answer. So here we've got a measurement of 10 metres across it, but it's not a radius here, this is a diameter. So actually we'd need to think, well, what is our radius? If the diameter is 10, the radius is going to be 5. So formula written again, but in this case we need pi times 5 squared. Pop that in on your calculator and you will get 78.5 metres squared. So a red circle here then. Again, over to you, unpause when you're ready for the answers. So formula written again, pi times the radius squared. We then have the measurement given to us here of 23 is from the centre to the edge of the circle, so it is a radius, that's fine. So we want pi times 23 squared. Pop that on your calculator, you should get 1661.06. And just watch out for the units. Our original measurement was in millimetres, so our area is in millimetres squared. And a final one for you to have a quick look at before we move on to some more difficult questions. The blue circle here. So if you want to have a look at this one again and then unpause when you're ready for the answers. So again, formula, area equals pi r squared. Here in this circle we didn't have the radius, so we've got the diameter again, so we need to go through and get what our radius is. So 78 is our diameter, so we need to halve that to get the radius. So we're actually going to need pi times 39 squared for this sum. Pop it on your calculator and you're going to get 4,775.94. Back to centimetres in our measurements for this question, so our area is in centimetres squared. And that's the area of a circle. So the next couple of slides are going to be some slightly higher end questions on this, but this slide here should get you through the majority of the questions in our assessed activity. So moving onwards, we now have then area of a compound shape using parts of circles. So here, use pi as 3.14 to find area of this shape. Now, when we're looking at compound shapes, it's really useful to try and work out how much of a circle do we have. Well, here at the top, we've definitely got half a circle. So we could use our regular circle formula, area equals pi r squared, and then once we've got the area of a full circle, we could half it, and we can then have this area of this half a circle at the top. But actually, if you look very carefully, we've also got half a circle at the bottom of the shape. Well, half a circle and half a circle makes a full circle. So actually we can get away with just doing our full circle area once, and it will give us this part of the shape at the top. That should have been across, I'm afraid. And this part of the shape at the bottom. Fantastic. We've got most of the shape worked out. And then we've also got this rectangle section in the middle then, so we'd also need to do a 6 times a 13 and get our final answer. So here we've got the circle then made up of we get a diameter of 13 for the parts of a circle, and the rectangle of width 6 and then 13. So let's run into our parts and the calculations we need to do now. So the area of the circle is going to be a pi times the radius squared. Remember, it's 13 centimeters would be a diameter, so we need to half it, and we get 6.5 for our radius. So pi times 6.5 squared gets the circle, 132.665, and then area of the rectangle, 6 times 13 gets us 78 centimeters squared. Add them all together, and then we have a total area of 210.665. So we've done compound area there with circles. Next one then, find the shaded area to 2 decimal places. So what area have we got? Well, what it looks like here is we've got a full square, but we've actually got a section of a circle removed from it. Now this would be called a sector of a circle if it's been removed from it. And what we might think is, well, how much of a circle have we got in this question? If we're thinking about a square here, it's going to have an angle of 90 degrees in it. Well, we need 4 lots of 90 to make 360, which is all the way around this dodgy circle here. So actually, if we've got a right angle there, we've got a quarter of a circle. So we need to think about this shape as a large square, but with a quarter of a circle removed from it. So area of the square, 12 times 12. So that's going to give us area of the square as 144 centimeters squared. But we now need to remove this quarter circle from it. So if we imagine this being a full circle, then actually this 12 centimeters is going to be a radius for it, which is quite fantastic if we're working out area of a circle, because we need the radius. So the area of the full circle would be pi times 12 squared, but we only have a quarter of the circle, so we need to use a quarter of that. So the area of this sector is going to be a quarter of pi times the radius squared. Remember, if you don't like timesing by a quarter to find a quarter of something, you could do your pi times 12 squared first and then divide your final answer by 4. Will give you the same answer for that. So pop that in the calculator and we get 36 pi, because your calculator sometimes doesn't like decimals coming up. So you might need to find a button that says S arrow going both ways D, and this turns your calculator from scientific mode, which would be the pi version of this, into a decimal number, which would be more familiar as an answer. Excuse my email popping off in the background there. And then we're going to get an answer of 144 minus this answer. Again, you might have turned this into a decimal at this point, but it's fine to leave it as this 36 pi on your calculator until we get to the final stage of our question. So we're now here doing square, take away the circle. Again, you could use answer button on your calculator here, so you could do 144 take away answer to leave this exact right until the end. And then we get an area of 30.96 centimeters squared. So that's quite a complicated question there with compound area, getting through these quarter circle questions. So again, thank you for engaging with these lessons. Please click to submit your work on Show My Homework. And today's lesson again is going to be My Maths activity. The majority of us should be able to get to the question 1 very easily, because the question 1 is going to be based on mainly the full circles. The question 2 is going to be those compound shapes and parts of circles, so you might find that a little bit more difficult. But please get in touch with red@theroyal.school to fire me off an email if you do need a hand with this. Thank you very much.